Hi everyone, I'm Shin, the representative of FOSS4G Korea local chapter. Actually, I was in our booth yesterday, and I met so many people who visited our booth, and everybody invariably asked me that. So if you give away your software, how do you make money? So this is the answer to their questions. Actually, I know many of you are expecting some top secret how to make money out of open source software. However, it is fucking, I'm sorry, it is very business area. There's no top secret, okay? So I explain my thought and I explain my experiences. So this is not the proven theory. Okay, actually, in my point of view, you can make money by adopting two options. The first one is save money by reducing cost. And the second option would be earn more money than before. Let's talk about one by one. Actually, saving money is very important. My parents always said that if you would like to be rich, you needed to save money by reducing your spending. So it's very important. What are the common denominator of these three companies? What are the answer?
They don't make money.
Yes, that's true. This is a global company, and these three companies use the open source software infrastructures. As you know, Google used Linux, and Yahoo used FreeBSD, and Facebook used open source based DBMS and operating system, as well as open hardware. So they reduce the money by adopting open source software and open hardware. Do you know IBM committed USD 1 billion? It's a kind almost 1.2조 to open source in 2001, and they changed their policy from developing their own proprietary Unix called AIX, and then they changed their strategy from a proprietary AIX to the Linux. And now, 10 years later, at this time, IBM's core strategy is lying in the open source business, actually, as you know. So what about this one? Actually, I used MacBook, and I'm not sure how many of you know this Mac OS X is built on top of two key open source projects. That is Mahasri microkernel from Carnegie Mellon University and FreeBSD. So unlike your expectation, this Mac OS X is also based on the open source software. What about the Android case? Actually, Google adopted so many open source software projects. Linux kernel, FreeTime, SSL, SQLite, all open source software. And here, the core part of the Android is the Dalvik virtual machine. Actually, this was also open source based. So they adopted so many open source software, and then on top of that open source stack, they developed the Android. Do you know how many money Google contributed to the Linux development? Only 1.1%. They contributed only 1.1% to the development of Linux kernel. However, now, on top of this open source software, they created a very nice Android, comparing against the iOS. So, why? Why this kind of very large company adopted this kind of strategy? Actually, already, Dr. Choi mentioned this is a kind of open innovation, so-called open innovation. They tried to reduce cost and time. So they are expecting lower cost of innovation, and they are expecting faster time to the market, and they try to share the risk with others by adopting our open source software. So let's talk about the system integration company. Actually, left side is a typical system integration company's business model. Here, they provide hardware, and they also provide software, and they integrate the systems so they can get the money like this. However, if a system integration company adopts the open source software, they can reduce the cost like this, and then they can enjoy the additional margin like this. However, the problem is that open source software is free, and everybody can use this software. So everybody can involve this kind of project. So if Samsung SDS uses use open source software, and then SKCNC will use this kind of open source software. So, however, if you adopt the open source software like this, and then you will expand your customers to the left side, to this point. So you can expect more money. This is a so-called profit management in Korean 수익 경영. So very large SI company in USA, in Europe, adopted so many open source software to reduce cost, and by reducing cost, they want to save the money. So next one is earn more money than before. So actually, it's very easy to save money by employing open source software. However, it's very hard to make money out of open source software because it is free. So this is very difficult situation. However, we need to make money for our survival, like Arnav and Yoshida and Toromori and me. So we can sell our open source software at high price, like Bongyi Kim-Son-Dan. Yes, as you know, liver is free. However, Bongyi Kim-Son-Dan sell liver at high price. So you can sell open source software at high price. However, the problem is that this is the typical economic demand and supply curve. So everybody can involve in the open source software market, and you can see like this. Anyway, the price of open source software will drop to almost zero. So this kind of business model doesn't work. So this is free economy. Anyway, this is free. However, instead, open source is not the free software, but practically to say this is free. So if you would like to change free to paid, you got so many damages. For example, Preacher, actually this is #1 community portal in Korea. They changed their business model from free to paid one, and they bankrupt. And what about Potteries? Actually, Potteries was a very well-known internet game, and suddenly they changed their business model from free to paid, and they lose their rank so severely. What about Daum? Actually, Daum is #2 portal company here in Korea, and they suddenly charged 10 won, 10won, to the large mail sending, and they left to #2. At the time, just 10 years ago, Daum was #1 portal company here in Korea, now left 2. So, if you charge money to the free stuff, you will get the big damage to your business. So, it doesn't work. So, however, this is not only case to our open source software itself, but this is the general trend here in digital world. Chris Anderson, the author of the Long Tail book called Long Tail, he's a very well-known guy. He published a new book called Free. If it is digital, sooner or later, it's going to be free. Not only software, but also media, also contents, music, movie, anything. If it is digital, sooner or later, it's going to be free. Because abundance wants to be free. So, you can read the news and your web portal like Naver or Daum at free. And you can listen to the music at YouTube or other places at free. And also you can see the many movies at free in YouTube. So, this is the mega trend nowadays. So we need to respond to this kind of mega trend change. So, and then, how can we earn money out of free? It's a very difficult question. So this would be the main topic of my presentation, maybe. So, we can get the clue from this kind of examples. Actually, if you visit my company, I will give you a cup of coffee at free. So, in my company, a cup of coffee is always free in my company, so it's free. However, if you buy this Maxwell house, not POP, and then you need to pay 800 won. But if you visit Starbucks, and if you would like to enjoy this nice coffee, you need to pay 5,000 won. What makes this kind of difference? So, another case, I searched this made in China bag in Google, and I suddenly found that this is only 3,500. It's almost free. However, I searched this bag in the website of the Shin department store, And the price of this bag is 120,000 won. This is Sanghee brand. And the last one is Louis Vuitton. Also, I searched this Louis Vuitton bag in the website of the Shin department store, and suddenly I found that the price of this bag is around 2 million won. So I hope my wife do not visit Shin department store website. Okay. So next case, this Ubuntu Linux, you can download the Ubuntu Linux as free at any time, at any place, if you connect to the internet. But how about this one? If you search the Ubuntu CD in eBay, you can buy 2 CD at around $5 US. How about this case in Red Hat? Red Hat sell open source based Linux at a very high price. Here you can see this one is just desktop, around $300. In terms of server, they charge the $1,300 US. It's very expensive. So what makes this kind of difference? And another case, I really like First Generation. One of the 9 angels. Actually, as you know, just 10 days ago, First Generation released the 3rd album called The Boys. However, you can listen to this music at free in YouTube at CD quality. So SM Entertainment just give away the music to everybody in the world. You can visit here and you can listen to all of the music by First Generation. So how they can generate revenue out of this kind of giving away? So you can see actually this is a New York concert, First Generation's New York concert. As far as I know, maybe 5 days ago this was held anyway. So unlike your expectation, the revenue from concert and selling goods are higher than the originally selling music. This is the true case. Actually, as Arnold already mentioned, only 5 or 10% of revenue of very large companies are from just selling boxes or selling packages. The others, like 90% or 80% of revenue from the other side. Okay, so this is the case. So what makes this kind of difference? Actually, as you see, when you visit Starbucks, you want to experience culture. And if you want to buy a Louis Vuitton, you buy a brand. And if you buy a Red Hat, you buy a reliability. And if you buy if you go to a First Generation's concert, that means you buy an experience. So everything nowadays is going to free. So we need to respond to those kind of free economy. So, as I already mentioned in the previous slide, scarcity wants to be expensive, but abundance wants to be free. So this is the action. So in abundance, people want something special. So you need to bear in mind this phrase to make money out of open software. So how about combining those two options? Save money by reducing cost, by adopting open source software, and earn more money than people. So by combining two options, we can make money. So let's talk about this one. So okay, let's make something special using open source software. But how? At first, you need to listen to the real voice of real customers. Why? Actually, this is a traditional open source software developing model. Here is the core developers like Frank Omerdan or Jeff McKenna, and here is community like me, users, and other document translators and other things. This is a traditional open source software development model, but in my opinion, this is just of the developers, by the developers, or for the developers. This is not for the software, for the real customers. So we need to change this kind of development model to make money. Okay, let's see another graph to hear the real voice. Here is the Pakuda Network survey. Why do you use open source software over proprietary? So almost all the persons said that because price is cheap and I can access the source code, so I bought open source software. But also Pakuda Network asked that why do you buy proprietary software of open source. They said that they can expect professional service and convenience from a proprietary software. That's the big difference. So by combining these two things, we can make money, I think. So here, also Lady, former Oracle executive, said that there are 6 barriers: lack of formal support and service, philosophy of change, lack of roadmap, functional gaps, license time, and the lack of endorsement by independent ISVs. So, as I already mentioned, if we get over these kind of barriers, and if we can meet the real customers' needs, and then we can make money, I think. So, this could be another business model out of open source software. How about combining these two advantages from a different world, from a proprietary and another one is open source software world? So, advantage of proprietary is professional service, continuous support, easy to use, reliability, functionality. And advantage of open source software is cheaper price. Yes, it's free, and source code access, community review, and quicker bug fix, and more standard-based one. So commercial open source software can exist by combining this kind of two different worlds. So we need to target the full product, not the core product. I'll explain more. Actually, usually when we talk about open source software, that is not product, just the software itself, open source software. However, if you want to make money in this world, you need to provide full product to the customers. Customers are very difficult. So you need to accept customers' very harsh, difficult needs by adding on integration, service, other hardware, software, certification, training, value-added research, and support. So, in short, open source software model is great at producing software and great at innovation. However, it does not produce full product for the real customers. We need to target real customers by meeting their real needs. So, actually, this is our position. We are just talking about open source software. However, open source software just lie in the core of this kind of market offering. That's core product. However, our customers who pay the money want the actual product, also full product, also they want a volume DC, or something like that. So we needed to expand our core product to the actual product and full product and market offerings. So, and then we can expect this kind of commercial open source software business model. So, open source software community continuously develop and fix the bug, and then our commercial open source software company will bridge the two different worlds, customers and open source software community. So, this is the so-called go-to-market action. So, if you want to make money out of open source software, you need to focus on your effort to go-to-market actions, sales, marketing, support, service, engineering, and other things. So making full products with open source community is the key of success of the open source software business. So this is my last slide. So as I already mentioned, targeting the scarcity and targeting the pains and meeting the real needs of real customers is the key to make money out of open source software. Now we are living in the free economy, and now we are handling the free stuff, that is open source software. However, our mind is very highly strict to the traditional business model. So we need to free our mind to the free economy. So just give away all the things, and then you can make more money, I think. So you need to make scarcity by reducing money, and the most scarce one by reducing the user's time, and by reducing user's accessibility, by reducing customer's skill, and then you can make money out of open source software. Thank you.